He still got his.
To call together this regular board meeting of the Saugatuck Township Board on Wednesday, August 10, 2022 at 6 p.m. I will go ahead and call the roll. Aldrich.
Here.
Bigford.
Here.
Helmrich.
Here.
Marcy.
Here.
Osmond. Here. We have a quorum. If we would all, those who can, rise and we'll say the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. Thank you. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any changes for the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda, but also add to new business item 9, and then closed session would be moved to 10. Township work order for construction or special maintenance on public roads.
There's
Also,
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next section is our public comments. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to make a public comments.
Good evening, everybody.
Right.
Good seeing you. First of all, we just had our audit, as you do every year, and we use Cambridge. I don't know if that's who you use, but we got the best rating you can get from them, just to have the accountability of what we do and how we do it. I'm very proud of the financial group that we have. Also, if you didn't know, I'm sure you go to Westside Park, the steps there, we lost them. We had engineers come in and they gave us conceptual designs on August 2. I haven't seen them yet, but hopefully we'll get that thing going. So we'll have something for next year over there. Also, facility master planning. Also, we're trying to get everyone that's not part of the court system moved out to our place once the CMH moves out. And those plans, we hired somebody to actually be a consultant to do that negotiation with all these different groups to make sure it works good. What do you need? What square footage? How can we help you do this transition and work out? It is working out as far as to work with these groups. I just saw this as I was coming in, because we're going to vote on it tomorrow, but I was just reading it. Register of Deeds, a new online fraud protection. So anytime a person's name is brought up, they'll receive notification of it. And to say that there's a public record document is recorded with their names, they'll be advised saying their names were brought up. So I'll look into that more to give you just a complete record of what that is, but we'll be voting on having that, I think, this coming Thursday, tomorrow. Also, I just mentioned to Dan, thanks for him. I was on our water study work group. We're trying to get these funds for these lead lines, and I could call them up at the meeting and go, Dan, this is what's up. They're wondering about this question. And to be thankful to have someone who can articulate what the need is in a factual way. So thanks for your help and your proficiency at doing it. But hopefully you got passed through the water study work group to the commission. And then I thought we'd be looking at it tomorrow. We aren't. I think it's going to still be another couple of weeks. But hopefully that will get passed and we'll move that up. But also, I think I mentioned to you our 5-year, that's how we do our finances, try to look 5 years out so we don't misspend money this year for what we might need in 3 years. We still work that way. We're working on our budget. And we go to our 12 different unions, what you see as needs for each department. We had probably $1.5 million worth of needs. I need this personnel, I need this. And then to actually, I know I was with our county administrator yesterday with our different work groups, our leaders, to have them go, wait a second, we talk like, what is best? How can we help you? This is the amount of money we have. We work, it's not like a secret thing. We're all together. How can we do this best for the county and the citizens? And then how can we reach a middle ground in doing that if this is the amount of funds we have? So just to let you know, that's how things are worked out with about 300 employees, 12 different unions, getting in the same room and saying, this is our books. How can we make you better? This is the limitations we have for the finances with this coming up and the debt that we have. And so everyone knows what's going on. Everyone knows how we work. And that's how we negotiate. I think you'd be very proud of the commission and our administrators, their team, and how we just do things. Just report that to you for accountability. But thanks for letting me speak. Good seeing you. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Is there anyone online that would like to make a public comment?
I see none.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll close the public comment section of the agenda and move on to the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look at the consent agenda? These are routine things that we do on a regular basis that have already been discussed at a workshop or otherwise. So I will entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll support.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? I will ask for a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Have reports. Has everybody had a chance to read their reports? Questions or?
That was part of
Oh, sorry. Not paying attention today. We have a presentation by Dr. Tim Travis. Like stand up.
Thank you very much for having me. Is it all right if I
Yeah.
have my back to the audience? Yeah, this is, I've reached out, been able to meet with each municipality and the Rotary clubs and just trying to work together a little bit more and be a little more sociable. I don't know if anyone has ever done this before, so I think this is a great opportunity. I want to thank you for your service. Being an elected official is not an easy task, and appreciate everything you do for Saugatuck Township. So Daniel's going to bring up a presentation, basically the state of the schools a little bit. We have a lot going on. If you've driven by the elementary school or the high school, it's very visible because a lot of construction going on. But a lot of things are a little more invisible if you're not a parent. Don't always get all the communications. So just I'll just say next. Is that good?
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. So to start, just our mission, vision, values, and goals. So these have been in the district about 20 years. And so our mission is to prepare students for life, support every child is our vision, and then values, valuing every individual, integrity, excellence, our community, and then really 4 broad Board of Education goals. So we try to provide a personalized education, which I think is a real strength for our school compared to a lot of larger districts in the world or even locally. Provide a culture conducive to learning. I'm really going to work on that. COVID is not totally gone. This will be the 4th part of the 4th school year. We'll have to deal and navigate. I'll talk about that a little bit. But one of the things that we're really working on is how to develop a sense of belonging for every child in our school system and every adult. I think people over the last few years have become very disconnected. We feel that, we notice that, we have families that are disconnected. And so really one of the things we're going to look at, study, keep to the forefront throughout this school year is how to be welcoming, how to help every individual truly belong. And that's part of that culture conducive to learning. Excellence in offerings and delivery. And if you're been around or had kids in the district, we've got just a fantastic staff. We're having some turnover because quite a few of our teachers have had very long and successful careers, and we've hired some new teachers who are also fantastic. We're able to recruit really well. One of the things that I'm sure comes up here, it's come up in every municipality, is the ability for those teachers to live in the district that they teach. We all know is an issue for a lot of people, and I look forward to being part of those conversations as I can. And then district strength and viability, and again, making sure that we're making good financial decisions and we're good stewards of taxpayer dollars. So that's kind of what we've been about. In a minute, I'm going to talk about a new 5-year strategic plan and an opportunity for some feedback and input, and maybe some board members would be able to come to a few community forums and kind of go through a process to help us kind of just advance where we're at. I don't think we're going to rewrite the whole thing, but certainly want to see what does it look like for the next 5 years. All right. Real quick, I'm going to go through some celebrations, a little bit about the pandemic. I have finances, I have some academic information, and I have facilities. A few celebrations. So you may or may have not heard, but Douglas Elementary School last fall was named a National Blue Ribbon High Performance School. So there were 13 schools in Michigan of any size, shape, or form that earned that recognition. So this is really, truly a rare thing. There were only a few hundred in the whole country. And so great testament to what we do here, tradition of excellence, our teachers, administrators, but also parents and kids. We just have great parents to work with. Our kids are always fantastic. And they work really hard. They just have a desire to learn. So So I left some links in here, but you don't need to click
Okay.
the links, but you can share this presentation more broadly if anyone wants more details. Other celebrations on the next page. For the first time, US News and World Report just started ranking elementary schools and middle schools. They've ranked high schools for years and years and years. But basically the good news is that Douglas Elementary School is one of the top, in the top 5% of Michigan schools, the middle schools in the top 11%. And if you go to the next slide, I think the high school is one of America's best schools for the 8th time in the last 9 years. It's one of the top, in the top 10% of high schools in the nation. So we truly do have consistent from pre-K to 12, really high performing, excellent school system that we're all very proud of and hopefully the community is proud of as well. Moving on to the next, I think this is pretty interesting to me and just a little bit to share. So the class of 2022 just graduated. There were 88 of them. They're going to 33 different post-secondary institutions. They're going to school in Canada, California, Georgia, Ohio, Indiana, Connecticut, Arizona, Massachusetts, Kansas, and of course, all throughout the state of Michigan. We have one entering the Marines, another the Air Force, and we have 9 students that just graduated. They're going to participate in interscholastic athletics or marching band in college. So pretty outstanding, nice, diversified, trying to get them to make good post-secondary choices that fit them, whether it's very locally or whether it's in another country. All right, next. This is where they're going. Also, very diverse. Community college is well represented, which is a bargain for families. It's great for kids. Trade schools. We have one that's not necessarily on here, but he has an internship at a restaurant in Mexico City. That's what he's doing for his first year out by himself. He doesn't even know anybody. He found this internship and he's going to go into culinary arts. And he said, the first thing I'm going to do is learn how to cook Mexican cuisine. So our first student ever to go to Yale this year as well. So all the way, trades are well represented. If we go to the next slide, this is kind of what field of study our grads are interested in. Again, we're looking for very diverse, something that fits their current thinking, fits their passion, fits their skills and abilities. We're not necessarily a school system that says that everyone needs to go to college, but what we do say is everyone needs more learning. And there's a lot of different ways to get more learning. So next, another highlight that maybe you know about or don't know about, but a partnership with the Rotary Club and the Boys and Girls Club of Holland. We have a Boys and Girls Club now. It runs summer programming. It came at a time which was great in the pandemic because we have built-in better than summer school. We have activities for them to do. They go on field trips. They have art. They have companionship to play with each other, physical activity all summer long. And then it's a great benefit for families after school from 3 to 6. And it'll get shifted back to the elementary as everything gets wrapped up and ready for business here in a few weeks. And it will run out of the cafeteria and the gym and the outdoor classroom, the playground, fields that are behind it. Next. A little bit on the pandemic. I won't spend a lot on this other than I just wish it just would go away. Very proud of our response though. I struggled with some schools throughout the world that just were virtual for so long. We found a way to get kids back safely, protect their health the best that we could, to build relationships the best that we could. And I think it served our students well and our families well. So we did have, so there are school-related cases of COVID. And everyone thought that this last school year would be, okay, it was kind of over and better. I think the first year we had about 35 kids who were positive or staff that were confirmed, and about 4 times that this last year. So it really was a challenge. And you have to contact trace all of those students, report it to the health department. We posted an update online every day that we had in the case. It's a lot of work to kind of go through all of that health related things. But our kids came through pretty well. it will be a little easier this year, even though if you pay attention, it's certainly not gone yet. Next. Graduation rates. As you can see, there's a 4-year rate in blue, 5 years in red, and a 6-year graduation rate. So 4 is just right out of Saugatuck High School, but then they can go to some alternative ed opportunities. They can come make up a few credits if they were a little short. So the state reports cohorts, but basically our 4-year graduation rate, as you can see in blue, 1920 was kind of a tough year for graduation rate, but most of the time it's right about 96, 97, 98%. So very good graduation rate. Next, this one is a really interesting slide. And so this is performance on all subjects on state tests. So this is the step test, and this is the elementary school. And so green would be Douglas Elementary School. What the state does is they build an electronic cohort of the 30 schools that are most similar to Douglas Elementary School by demographics, by rural, urban, free and reduced lunch, ethnicity, and then you got the state of Michigan at large. And so if you take a look at that, if you go pre-pandemic, you can see that 63% of our students were proficient on all of the subjects compared to 52% of our peers. So that's really what we take a look at is of the schools like us, how are we doing? If we're at the bottom of that group, we're probably not doing real well. If we're at the top of that group, we can feel pretty good. And we always are 20% better than the state average because there are certainly students in other areas that have more barriers to learning than our students do. But then there was no data available for that year of the pandemic. Current data isn't out yet, but the year that was tested, 2021, you can see that everyone took a hit. And so one of the things I can tell you in all 3 of our buildings and of the schools that are like us and the students in the state of Michigan as a whole, learning loss occurred during the pandemic, no doubt. And so that it's not going to be over educational. We have a lot of slow, gradual catching up, supporting, keeping kids engaged, keeping families engaged, keeping kids in school, trying to help make up definite learning loss. As you can see that our percentage dipped a fair amount, but so did everyone else's. If you just click ahead, Daniel, this is the middle school. It will be basically the same picture. And if you take a look at the high school, you'll see the same picture as well. But you will see that we significantly outperform our peers consistently, and it's looked that way for quite a while. I anticipate that it will continue. So a little bit of academic, some financial facts with some ESSER funds now, ARPA funds, our general fund budget going into next school year is about 11.1 million, which has grown. It's been nice. Talk about that slightly. Our fund balance is about 15%, which is a good solid fund balance. The per pupil allowance next year will be just over $9,000, $9,150 per student from the state. This will be the first time that we are the same as everyone else. So we are no longer, we are almost a whole harvest district. We're a little in no man's land right now, and I'll help you understand that. We had a big graduating class, so our projected enrollment is 810 students, and we had 88 graduates. And right now, though, it looks like we have about 60 kindergartners, so and another 18 TK kids. So we'll be close to filling that back in. Here's a little bit of enrollment history, and you can see we go up and down a little bit, and there has been a bit of a struggle. Part of that, as you may or may not know, during the last several years, about 50,000 Michigan students basically disappeared from public schools. They homeschool, they don't go to school, and they're definitely here. This summer, I've noticed as we start to re-enroll, kids are signing up. We'll get a little record, and it's always like, where are you transferring from? And it will say homeschool, homeschool, homeschool. Wow. So fortunately, we're getting some kids to come back into public schools. So hopefully that enrollment stays pretty solid as it has the last few years. Next, a little bit on revenue streams. This is just to show you where the money comes from. And as you are well aware, about 65% of the money is generated locally, and about another 21% comes from the state. A little bit of difference. You can notice that we did get some more federal funds in the last year, and we'll get more next year. So a little bit of federal help as well. The next slide just shows where that money goes, and where it should go is to teachers. and employees, and it does. Most of it, if you take a look at salary and benefits, is the largest category in spending. It's about where it should be for a public school. And then you can see supplies, repairs, and maintenance. We do have more and more purchase services. And so we do have things like lawn care. We partner with other schools for some of our transportation maintenance and food service. So we do share services with some other, actually school districts around us to try to get some efficiencies there. This is the foundation allowance. One of the things that I think is amiss, probably not understood in the last decade in this community, is if you take a look way back to 2009-10, a little over a decade ago, Saugatuck Public Schools got $8,520 a student, and you had to get all the way until 2020 to get that much money again. There was a solid decade where we had less funding than we did 10 years ago. And it really impacted the school. And now with the funds kind of all equaling out a little bit, we'll no longer be what was called a 2X school. So every time, I'll just take a neighbor, Fenville, Hamilton. Every time Fenville and Hamilton would get $200 increase per student, Saugatuck got 100. But your cost of living was exactly the same raise. All the expenses were the same. That happened for a decade until the per pupil allowance balanced. And so now when everyone gets $200 per student, we will too, which will be very nice for budgeting. So that's a little history there that it's been difficult on a per pupil funding allowance basis for a while. Debt millage comparison. This is basically good news. This is the same good news before, as we're talking about our bond project. If you take a look at building site sinking fund and debt for construction of our new elementary school and high school, this was last fall, I think. So total of 3.94 total mills is still going to be the lowest in 3 counties. And so making taxpayers money go as far as we can. Got a beautiful bond project underway that I'll share a little bit, but very thankful about that. But also I think it's good to know that millage rate is basically the same as it was pre-bond. It basically, it's just very slight increase. Next, couple ballot proposals I think are good to know. So we do have to renew our operating millage. That's our non-homestead millage. So we're going to ask to renew that for 5 years in November. Community rec is 0.25 mils, and we've had that for 20 years or more. And we want to renew that for 5 years. And then building site sinking fund is a renewal of 0.5 mils, and that is repairs, replacement. Technology has been a huge gift in that building site sinking fund. So as technology has, a computer has about a 3-year life cycle to help us keep up and replace those. The building site sinking fund has been very valuable. And one thing I think that, of course, members of the board are interested, but also the community. So this last year, this coming tax year, the district decided not to levy our hold harmless mills. So it was a small amount the previous year, and it was even smaller this year. We weren't quite not hold harmless, but we thought it's so close. We can leverage some at-risk funds from the state and trade it, give some back to the taxpayers. So no longer a hold harmless district this year. So that millage come off your tax bill. And to bear with me here, this is the good stuff. This is a little bit of a video of the renovations. And again, it doesn't look anything like this from 2 weeks ago. The front of the elementary school looks totally different today, but this is the best I could do. Can't keep updating it fast enough. classrooms. It was redone about January. So very excited, glad to give you a sneak peek. We're gonna have some open houses and invite people in September, and then probably when it's all done in January at Douglas, sort of a grand opening and let everybody come see it when it's really all done. Some of the system improvements I think are really important. So fire protection's been updated and added to both buildings. The secure entrance at the elementary school will be the same at the high school. The elementary school has a camera system inside and out, and really nice feature is the clocks are emergency alert displays. So it is the loudspeaker, it's a clock most of the day, but if there's a fire, it's going to flash fire so that you can hear it, you can see it. If it's shelter in place, it's going to say shelter in place. So it can all be digitally programmed in every classroom and in the hallways. So great security upgrade there. One of the simplest things that will be in both buildings and that will be at Douglas Elementary this fall is a thumb turn lock. And so every teacher can basically take her thumb or his thumb and flip a switch, and the door will lock instead of trying to go keys in the hallway. So we can lock doors quickly. Lower elementary classrooms have magnetic door holds, so their doors can be open during the day. You hit a button and the doors will all close and lock so that the building is secured. Also have an emergency button to lock all of the exterior doors from the office, and also turn off the ventilation in case there's some kind of a chemical spill or some kind of a airborne hazard. We can not bring in the hazard, we can shut everything off. So some great additions. COVID helped us too. So it's got improved heating and ventilation, so the air circulates a lot more often. We also put in bipolar ionization that basically zaps the germs and will help keep cleaner air, which is going to help kids just be healthy, pandemic or not. Those ADA compliant classroom restrooms were huge. Those used to be out in the hallway. They weren't wheelchair accessible. Built in 1957, and now you saw they're pretty nice. New LED lighting controls, already saving money on lighting, and all of the roofing eventually will be replaced as its lifetime ends. This is what the high school is going to look like. That's the front entrance. That'll be start working on that about January, February. And you can just scroll through at your leisure. This is office reception. A lot like the elementary school. This is the Learning Commons, so what used to be the media center or the library, still in the same basic place, but a lot of natural light comes in to that room. This is an innovation lab and a tech room that's right off of the Learning Commons. So we have this whole middle of the building where kids can tinker with things, can work on their own special projects, can come with a classroom and work on a project, can use the computers. There's a green screen room so they can shoot their own videos. Really a place where kids can engage and make, and it could be before school, after school, during school. Really envision this as a place where kids and teachers and community members can come in, and this is where we make stuff. This is where we prototype things. There'll probably be some 3D printers in there. right down to Legos, just different things that a kid might prototype. Large group instruction area. If you're familiar with that, that's the old teacher's lounge. It's pretty cool. It opens into the cafeteria for additional seating. So if we have a lot of kids, we can overflow into that. If we have a really large meeting, we could overflow into that, or those doors close, and then it can serve as a, we're thinking all of those are flip and fold tables. So we can stack the chairs, fold the tables. We can teach yoga in there. We can, it's a very flexible space. The cafeteria opens up to the back, updated to have more of a, the whole thing is supposed to have a more professional collegiate type feel. We get access to a beautiful view in that ravine. If you've never been behind the high school, it's a fantastic ravine. And we did a survey with an arborist, and there are some cherry trees back there that are, you can't come close to reaching around. We're really working hard to make sure we preserve them. They're kind of on the bank, putting in some permeable pavers to let water get to the roots. And those are pre-Civil War trees. Those have been there a long time.
I could probably wait.
Okay, and I should probably stop talking. So this is the back. So the strength training room is the old band room, but we'll also open that up and have some natural light, have kids out in the back during the day. And then I think this band room. This is what they're working on now. And they actually, from what you saw, that's all blocked in now, and they're getting ready to start laying the brick already. So I'm way behind, but it's been about 2 weeks. And then that's inside of the band room. Again, a lot of natural light. And a couple things on the facilities. Things are coming along great in a very challenging environment. Can't say enough about our architect, GMB, and our construction managers, our GDK. We bought things years in advance. Like everything in the cafeteria has already been bought and is being stored for 2 years to avoid price increases. We bought all the HVAC stuff and stored it in shipping containers until it needed to be used so that we would have it when it was time to put it in. They've been brilliant. Couple good things on bond sales. So selling the bonds, it was a great market for selling bonds, the first 2 series. And so right now we've saved about $7 million in interest compared to what the pre-bond estimates are. So it's going to shorten the length of the millage. DES will be done in January, and the middle school, high school's got basically 3 years left. It's going to be a long project. August of 2025 should be completely done. So I think that's all I have. I will reach out again to Daniel, and maybe we'll have a few members come to a little workshop on strategic planning. It'll be quick and easy, a lot of sticky notes. You kind of know how that works. And we'll get out community surveys, kind of see. So we've got buildings underway that'll be finished in about 3 years, but then where do we go next? What's important to the community and to the municipalities? So I appreciate your indulgence, because I know this is for me I know you got a long agenda, so I don't know if we want to entertain questions or not, but that's up to you.
I have one.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations.
Yeah,
It's all
thank
great
you.
stuff. You should be very proud. I'm just curious what the current percent of school choice students is.
It's still about the same. It's always about a third.
30. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's about 1/3, 2/3. About 2/3 live in the district.
Okay.
Actually, most of them live in the township.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
Very few live in town, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. We do have a lot of, so the recent thing that is probably of interest to everybody is a lot more city in Chicago, but also the coast, because it's kind of a difficult thing is if you live in San Francisco and you move to Saugatuck, and Saugatuck is beautiful, Saugatuck's also cheap, believe it or not. And so we have families coming from the coast that find us and want a quality school for their kids. But this is also, they come, it's like everybody's story. You come visit Saugatuck and someday you come live here. So, but it would be challenging. So the good thing about school of choice is, so we can plan for a class and have limited enrollment in that grade, because we don't want an extra section and add an extra teacher, because it won't balance out. But residents are residents. And so the more resident students we have, there will just be less openings. So if it ended up being full of resident students, we just wouldn't have as many school choice students. And that's what I'm hoping happens.
Yeah.
My wife Kathy and I were involved with the LIFT program.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before COVID started. And.
So are you ready? Are you ready to sign up?
Well, I was just curious if it started.
It is. We're gonna
Yes,
do
I
it.
just
We're gonna
told
have
you
it going.
so
again.
today.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, we'll get you signed up here this fall.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're able to have lift again. And we actually, it isn't in there, but we built a volunteer room where you can come have a cup of coffee, hang your coat, get your stuff together, and then go work with your kids. No, we would love, we're excited about bringing that back this fall.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Yep.
I was gonna say, I just talked to Michelle Gus today, because I've been calling for a year and a half to get back into Lyft also.
Oh.
And so she did tell me it would start up in October. And so your best thing would be to give a call.
Yeah, we can
Get
put
your
you on
name
the
on the
list, get you all signed up and spread the word to your friends and family. I know a few other people that are interested. And so we do a little testing and get school started. And
I have
then
to
we'll,
pass a test or they do?
no, they don't even have
Yeah, you
to
do.
pass. We just want to know what they might need to know. So. Again, I really appreciate the time and the opportunity. And now you
Being
can,
so deliberate about
you can kind of
that.
share, yeah.
That needs to happen more.
Yeah, because you hear, it does, and I appreciate it. Like, we are all stronger together. I'm a
Being my,
firm believer. So thank you for what you do and thank you for the time. Thank you for coming and enduring. And good luck with the rest of your agenda, if you don't mind. I go to a lot of board meetings. I'm
okay,
gonna head
thanks.
home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we ready to move on? Yes. So the first item under new business is board member resignation. The township has received the resignation of Cindy Osmond from the position of township supervisor, effective immediately. That the resignation is not official until it is accepted by the board. I think we all agree that Cindy has been an incredible leader. For my 6 months here, I think you've been amazing and an incredible resource. And I just want to personally thank you for all you've done for me and all you've done for the township, because I think we are in an incredible position right now. So thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to everybody for supporting me. And it's bittersweet that I submit this resignation, but I have another opportunity to serve the township. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and I hope the board will accept my resignation.
I'd like to, oh, sorry.
You can go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Express my gratitude for your leadership. You just bring an air of kind of maturity and stability to decisions and to situations. And you've always been a great listener and somebody can kind of bring calm to the storms. And you'll be missed, but you'll be close by to support, to continue to provide that support. So that I'm really
Thank you, Abby.
What?
I'll recognize you.
Will you recommend? I want to say how exciting it is to know that we see you almost on a daily basis. So we had a great relationship. I've enjoyed all of it. Supportive, as Abby said, great listener and mediator. And miss those skills. You know, you have other skills that we sorely need in the township, and that's exciting.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's been great. So,
Can I make a motion?
yeah.
Since you're here. You can comment too after. if you want. I'd like to move to accept the resignation of Cindy Osmond as Township Supervisor effective August 10th, 2022.
I will. I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And with that, I will turn over the gavel to our clerk, Abby Bickford, and she's going to have my resolution.
thank you. Thank you for that. Next item under new business is board appointment or appointments. Daniel, can you give us some more information about this memo that you expertly drafted for us?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so with the resignation of our township supervisor, there's now a vacancy for supervisor on the board of trustees. For the position of supervisor, the board may appoint an individual to fill that position. If that position is to be filled by a current board member, that board member is allowed to vote in favor or against their nomination. Note that pursuant to Michigan election law, if a township vacancy is not filled within 45 days, the county is able to call a special election. So I would recommend that that vacancy be filled within that 45-day period. This would be a roll call vote. And I would also recommend that if we were to appoint someone this evening, that they also take the oath of office.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Abby Bigford as supervisor and to fill the vacancy left by Cindy Osmond.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I just feel that as much as we appreciate you being clerk and I feel that you've shown that your ability to be supervisor is, you're just exceptional, Abby, and I know we'll be very happy to have you as supervisor, even though we'll miss you as clerk, but you'll be here, so. Yeah.
Noises over our neighbors.
Thankfully,
The cops are rowdy.
Any other further discussion before I call the vote? I would just like to say that I enjoyed my time as clerk and not voted in, I will stay clerk and be happy. This is a roll call vote. Marcy,
Yes.
Helmert,
Yes.
Bigford, yes. Aldrich.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Still on this subject.
Well, I'd like to
yes.
suggest we,
Yes,
that you
you're right.
take the oath of
Yeah,
office, so.
Thank you. So our treasurer does have, normally this is a duty of the clerk, but the treasurer
Well, I'm
has
also done.
full authority to do.
Okay. Already vested in me. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
that I will faithfully perform the duties
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of Township Board
of the office of Township Board Supervisor
in and for the Township of Saugatuck,
in and for the Township of Saugatuck,
County of Allegan,
County of Allegan,
State of Michigan,
State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you for keeping that in small pieces for me. Well done, John.
I think I need your signature.
Okay, so two. Okay, you've already done your
Yes, I'll
part.
build
Thank
it,
you.
yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, everyone, my peers. I look forward to taking, stab at this role, and please be forgiving, as this will be a learning curve, but I'm very much excited about this. Well, working with all, so that helpful. Still on this subject, this now leaves the clerk's position open. The clerk's position, as we know, is a key position. There's some timeliness issues. We have an election coming up, in a bigger election coming up in November. The clerk has to undergo pretty extensive BOE, Board of Election training and training on our qualified voters. It's not something that you learn in a day or two. It's, you know, taken me years just to kind of get at a level where I feel like comfortable with it. But the clerk does need to earn some of those certifications and things before they can conduct an election. So with that said, to be completely transparent, my deputy clerk and I have had conversations about who would be the best replacement as a clerk. And it wasn't even something that we had to think about 5 people. Rebecca Israels has served our township in so many ways over the years, and she has been very faithful in serving at elections. She's taken advanced training. She respects Lori and Lori respects her. They have a great working relationship. Her experience professionally, there's so much leadership there, there's so much development. I feel like there's something I'm leaving out, but we have reached out to her and asked her if she would be interested in clerk, and she has expressed to us that she would. So I think that is we're in a very great position. This also, another benefit to bringing somebody on and training them as clerk is that we will have more experts in-house. At some point, we will need to add a precinct, at some point, probably soon, unfortunately. So we're gonna need more chair people, more people that are highly qualified, and I will continue to be a support person, very involved in elections when I'm, you know, not on the ballot or whatever. Anyway, I've said a lot. I might have left something out, but does anybody else want to say anything at this point? Or?
Well,
go ahead.
No, I guess in a sense I have a point of order, right? Because I don't see this appointment on the agenda. Are you suggesting it be added to the agenda tonight or just?
Well, it says board appointment or appointments. So I think it allows for it. I think.
It's a bit of a surprise is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I don't see a paper in here from the manager outlining this. And I haven't had many conversations about this. I personally feel from the point, as you said yourself, full transparency, I would be more comfortable if we agreed to have it on next month's agenda. And because it is an open position, this has nothing to do with anything you've said or the people you've been referring to, who I have a lot of respect for, and they're also extremely busy right now as chair of the planning commission as we begin the ordinance review process. So I'm just suggesting we wait till next month. We probably should post it again to follow, so be transparent and take it from there. I'm overwhelmed that we have a new supervisor all of a sudden, so there's only so much I can take at one meeting. And again,
Yeah,
I don't, it wasn't fully shared and discussed with all members.
Thank you for that. I 100% agree, except in cases where it's very time sensitive. And I think that just when it's time sensitive, as a clerk, I feel that much.
I understand.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, were you finished?
Hmm?
Were you finished?
Yeah, I just said I understand that aspect. I mean, we could even have a special meeting before the next month.
Just because of the timings. The time is very, very short until the election, given everything that we have to do. And it's an important election, and I think obviously it's gonna be much bigger than the one we just had. But can we hear from Rebecca?
Yeah, let's take all the comments.
Okay,
Are you
all right.
okay with that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And just to piggyback, oh,
Yeah,
you just brought something. We had 2 challenges on an election just in August that
Oh, you
haven't
did?
happened in like 12 years. So there's just such scrutiny, you know,
Yes.
there's so many eyes and you just have to get it right, you know, every time. And we do, you know,
I
but
know.
that takes a lot. So thank you for kind of joining, and I interrupted what you're talking about.
I-
More
no, I just have worked enough with Rebecca to see what she does. And she's helped us with some difficult situations with her expertise in the working world. And so, you can go ahead and make comments and then we can talk to her or ask her questions.
Yeah, I agree with what Brenda said. I understand what John has said. I do feel that we're in time sensitive with the election coming up. I feel comfortable with Rebecca appointing her tonight if we agree on that, because I just feel that we have a lot to do. I've worked with her a lot. She's made me a better trustee. Her wisdom, I just feel that she's such an asset to our board. I just
Right,
don't,
aside from the clerk.
right, I just feel that I like having a full board. So I feel comfortable appointing her tonight if everyone agrees to that.
Ms. Israels, are you open to some questions? You,
Yes. I am. First of all, you can call me Becky. Because most
You do.
different-
Yeah.
And, whatever you decide tonight, I mean, I truly respect your opinion, and whatever you do decide, because I think you make very good decisions. And you have consistently over the past few years. I appreciate the opportunity to do it if you so see that. I know I've worked on a lot of different committees with all of you, and then, I take those phone calls on the side to say, well, what about this? Do you have any knowledge about interviewing? Do you have any knowledge about different things? And I'm happy to spend the time with that. I do have a lot of knowledge and experience in leadership, and from that I learned that I'm not really very important, but everyone I work with is very important. And so I continue to learn. I've learned a lot working with Abby with the voting. I've learned enough to know that from this point until we vote in November, I could spend all my time learning from Abby and Lori. So I know if I take this appointment, which I would like this appointment, I would be very, very honored to work with Lori Babinski. I've learned a lot from her through the ages, and I think she's a very special person, and she has a great deal of knowledge, which we all respect too, but all of you do. So if you have questions for me, I'll gladly take them. I know you expressed that we have a lot to do with the planning commission, and we do. But as Abby said, we have a lot to do with the election coming up too, and she's generously said, I'll stick with that. I will stick with planning to complete some things too, even though I know I can't be on the planning commission any longer, because John is on the planning commission. But I would still, it's not like I would say sayonara, because it's really endeared to my heart, and I will miss that. But I do think that's okay, that you empower other people and things go on. Change is difficult, but it's good. And so I don't know, if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Thank you.
Yes, can you give us just kind of a short rundown of your experience? And then part two then is just your experience with elections, how many you've either volunteered for or what you've done, training, that kind of stuff. So there's really two questions.
Okay, well, my work history was in healthcare. And I think it just relates to everything else. Healthcare is community care, and it's caring about the people that you are with. And I started out as a nurse. I worked in the ER and critical care for a few years. I was asked to go to hospice as an administrator. I'm going to make this quick. So I went to hospice as an administrator. The thought was I would take over for Judy Zeilman and run hospice, but then Rest Haven approached me and said, hey, we need an administrator for home care, which we don't have a home care, but we sort of do. Can you do this? And they said, well, we have 2 other people that'll work with you. And I was like, well, sure, I'll do that. And so the board gave me a job for a year and said, if you can make this financially viable, you got a job. And so they made it financially good for me to do for a year. And I developed their home care agency. When I left there, I had 66 employees. And most of them were professionals. They were registered nurses, OT, ST, PTs. We had a large base of staff. We had over 600 patients that we cared for. And we also had the respect of all the physicians in Holland. It was a challenging role because we were new. It was challenging because physicians were already used to a hospital home care. It was so challenging all the way around. We needed, to keep staffing was a challenge. It's a challenge for people today. And I think the only way I knew I could do that is just listen to my staff, learn from them. I learned so much from the most remarkable people, and I'm still very close to them. So that was kind of my career. On the side, I had a fun job, and that was working. I was an elected official with Holland for their city council. So every Tuesday, I worked with Cindy actually too, and went to the boardroom at 4 o'clock and stayed till about 10 or 11 or 12, depending on how late we were there. And that was every week. And so I always said that was my fun job. And it's just a different facet of learning, but there's so much relationship between the two. So you're still working with people, respecting people, and listening. And I guess that's what I carry from everything, all my career. I love my career. I love my children. I love living here, and I love being able to do things here. So if you don't ask me to be part of the board, I don't think I'll stop doing anything. As for working in the elections, I think I worked them all but one. I was on vacation for one election.
What do you
So
mean by all, sir?
since I've been involved in them, so it's probably been 6 or 7 years that I've worked every election since I've been here. So I didn't work them when I was working my jobs. And I moved here, I had to resign from city council in Holland. That was difficult for me, but I also wanted to move here, and that's because I love it here. So, I mean, that was a tearful departure, but that's it. I mean, I'm pretty simple. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Well, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd be remiss, I have to ask this question,
Ask
because
it.
I find it relevant. As you know, this team, this board are all here as a result of a recall election in
Mhm.
2018.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, during the pandemic, we were fortunate enough, we all ran unopposed. So we're now at a four-year term. Because based on state law, townships, as you well know, the members of the board, it is a partisan position.
Yes, I know that, yeah.
So if you were to get appointed tonight, and if you chose to run for election then in 2024, I'm just curious what your party affiliation might be.
Well, John, I really appreciate that question. I was asked to run for county commissioner, and I had had some conversations about that, and that was representing the Democratic Party. And my response was, I really love it here. And so I wasn't sure if I could do that at this time. And I just said, I really like being affiliated with this township. I consider myself an independent, although when we have the elections, I was designated the Republican long ago. So you always have to have a Republican and a Democrat. I vote both. I love voting both. You know, I try to vote for the best person. And that's what I've always done. So I consider myself very much an independent, but I guess I'd have to make that choice. So the choice I would make would be to run as a Democrat. Okay. But I really would like your insight on that, because I struggle a little bit with, I don't know, but I think that's what I would do.
Okay. Well,
Because I
hope
would
that's what
want to
you would
run
do.
as the group. I want to support the people I'm with too. And so I guess that's where I would go. So does that help?
that did help. And again, where I'm coming from is the fact that we've been such a solid team.
You are,
And I love
yes.
working with, I know you really well, and I love working with you on planning commission, so it's nothing about your talents and abilities. I know your election background, but
Yeah,
maybe not to everyone as much as me. That's very important that we maintain that. You know, we are.
no, I do really appreciate
That's who we
that.
are,
I-
and it was
I know.
historic for this township. Not surprising, even though people used to tell me that you'd have to run as a Republican, even if you are a Democrat, when just the last week's election, 2 times as many people voted in the Democratic side as the Republican side, and the Republican side had a contested primary. So it is reflective of the township.
It definitely is. I was surprised to learn that though here, because when I was in Holland, I never ran as a Republican or Democrat. I ran as a woman, you know, Holland City.
Well, I don't think
Councilwoman.
city council is partisan.
Yeah, they're.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, obviously.
It's unaffiliated.
That's
People
why.
tend to know, but it's not.
Okay.
It's just a quirk of the way.
Right.
It's a state law.
Like Saugatuck.
Huh?
Like Saugatuck.
Saugatuck
City,
City.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
it
all
is,
nonpartisan.
yeah, it's city.
People tend to know what people's affiliation is, but
Right.
it's not spoken to.
So I was surprised to learn of the partisanship. I learned a lot. There's a lot of things different in the city than
Oh,
in
yeah.
the township.
Hopefully,
And you all probably know that, but I didn't know that when I first came here. So
I'm sure you know more about it now because you've been so active.
I do, and I've enjoyed working with you too
You don't have
on the
to say
planning
that.
commission. No, but I have,
I know.
and I will really
No,
miss,
we've had a great relationship.
I'll miss everyone there. But you have to make choices. And that's all.
Any other questions for Becky?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
I'd like to move to appoint Rebecca Becky Israels as clerk to fill the vacancy left by Abby Bigford.
I would support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. This is also a roll call vote. Aldrich,
Yes.
Bigford, yes. Humrick,
Yes.
Marcy,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0. And welcome to the table. Becky, Ms. Israel.
I guess we have to swear her in.
Yes, yes.
I wasn't told there'd be 2 tonight.
Oh, you didn't pre-fit?
No, this is a surprise. I've already said that. You're gonna have to give me a minute to prepare. this.
We will. Like our manager. On your way.
Trustee. All right.
I'm going to. She definitely.
I got pictures.
Oh,
That's okay.
Nice.
Right now, we're going several times. If you would repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and be faithful of the duties of the office of Township Board in and for the Township of Saugatuck, County of Allegan, State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
Yeah.
No.
Sounds good.
No.
Um, You were in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to new
Oh, yeah,
business, item number 3, board and commission appointment. We first have the representative to the Interurban Transit Authority, and I understand we have a term expiring and that individual would like to be reappointed, and we also have 2 other applicants. Daniel, do you have anything else to add to that at this point?
Would you like to?
Oh,
Lisa Smith is also, was interested in the interurban appointment, and she called and had a COVID exposure, and she didn't feel comfortable coming tonight,
Okay.
so
thanks.
just wanted to let you know that.
Okay,
Although she has appeared.
Yes, we saw her last
Before.
month, so we do know Lisa.
Yeah, I would just add that it is a voice vote and that one of the applicants is here, 2 of the applicants are here in person. We have Judith Schneider and Kathy Stern. So if the board has any questions to ask of the applicants that are present, they are here and I believe willing to speak.
I'd also like to point out that you probably have all seen that there is a letter of recommendation from the executive director in support of Judith Schneider. Following our tradition of board and commission appointments, if you guys are all in agreement to bring our applicants up and we have them give a little bit of their story and answer any questions that we might have. Yes.
Yes.
Judith, could you please
Sure.
come up? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ruth Schneider. I live at 207 South Maple in the township. And I'm asking to be reappointed. I really would like to be reappointed. When I originally was, I came up here and I honestly feel I'm kind of like, it's a calling for the interurban board. I've never applied for anything else, but I feel because I ride the bus, I can provide a particularly different viewpoint as to the running of the interurban and how it functions and who rides it and how good a job it's doing. And on the board now, we have at least 3 business owners and of course Lori Levinsky, who has plenty of experience with the financial side. I'll never say that I'm the person who's great with a spreadsheet, but you know, I do know how long it takes to get the bus and I've ridden it. And when we discuss such things as in extending hours, which has been something that I have fought for the time that I've been on the bus, and we've gone from closing at 4 o'clock on Sunday to staying open till 7, which helps people who work and people who want to spend money in Saugatuck on Sundays or in earlier parts of the year when we have extended our hours. Right now, we're open till 7 days a week. That was not the case when I started, and those are things I fought for. In addition, because I ride the bus, I feel that I also have a relationship with the bus drivers. And although we have a wonderful executive director and the other board members are stellar, I still get to talk to them and find out how things are in the trenches, which, you know, on some weekends during the summer, they are the trenches. So I would ask to be reappointed because I think I do have this unique perspective that I can provide for the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Does anybody have any questions for Judith?
This would be your second term, right?
Third.
Third.
I know.
Who has?
You know, it was funny. I was talking to Phyllis. And I
Doesn't
said,
feel
well,
like
such and
that,
such happened. And I went, no, have I been on that
Yeah, I
long?
couldn't remember if it was the last time was first or if that was a
Yeah,
reappointment.
well,
So it'd be your second reappointment.
yes. But on the other hand, I'm still the only writer. So,
Well, my mother was a big time writer. They
I know she
put
was.
her picture in the paper writing it.
You find out all kinds of things riding the bus. You would be surprised. You know, what company just bought this and who just, you know, is selling that. And it's an interesting experience. Everyone should, you know, take a bus ride at least a couple times a year.
You know, you're right, we should.
So
Good for local welfare as
I'd
well,
also like to say
some
that
individuals.
whether I get appointed or not tonight, it has been a privilege to be a board member. I am impressed with the professionalism of the employees. I'm impressed with our other board members who are so diligent. And so it's been a real privilege to work with them. Anyway, unless there's another question. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Judith.
For everything.
Ms. Sturm, would you please approach the podium or the front of the audience, wherever you like?
Podium here to hang on, otherwise I'd be wandering.
Okay,
I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be able to serve on this board. And with my experience working with all of you in various capacities over the years, I just felt it was time for me to step back in and help serve this community once again. This time as a board member on the intergroup. My experience is with regards to boards and operations, that there is a separation. And as a board member, I would review and consult, but I would leave the operations to Liz and her team. I have experience with grants in the not-for-profit sector, which, you know, it's a difficult job, as we all know, trying to apply for grants. Not only that, but also to be able to manage those grants and do all of the follow-up work and reporting afterwards, which I have experience in as well. I think it's a great opportunity. I don't ride the bus that often, not as often as Judith does, but when I have, I've had a great experience. And I think that's what's important to this community, is that it's a great experience for everyone. Any questions?
I do feel your grant experience is huge on a board like this. I'm assuming that you work with the board members with grants, Phyllis, or how does it typically work?
Generally, I get information from the state of Michigan and the grants that I bring my recommendations to the board and muddle my way through writing a grant, because it's not an easy thing. It is not, and not at all. So I haven't had a board member with grant experience except for Phil Quaddy when he started.
I would think that'd be a huge asset.
Can I ask a question? I should know this of either of you. How much of your budget is funded through grant funding?
We receive approximately 10% of our funding through the fairs, through the $1 or the
Right.
cents that
Best
people
deal
pay.
in town.
Yes.
Yeah.
And about 36% comes from our local millage that just
Right.
passed at 82%, yes, which is amazing. And then we receive money through the federal government for road taxes and through the state government through road taxes. And those figures are generally 18% and somewhere floating around anywhere from 34 to 38%. Currently, our federal is up a little bit higher than that with the additional pandemic funds that will carry us through to next year. So grant writing for us is our main grant where we apply for the operation funds. That one is fairly dotting i's and crossing t's.
Mhm.
All of the forms that we have to fill out, part, in closing meeting minutes, capital, 5-year capital requests, annual budget, and all of the required federal clauses and state clauses. Then we receive, there's competitive grants, which we've just applied for one. And that's more where you're writing the need and describing the need and describing how it's gonna affect the community, whether there's low income people that were served, whether there's people with disabilities or disadvantaged persons. So that type of grant is when there's a specific need for a building project or for buses. A lot of our buses will come through capital, through the state of Michigan, where that funding becomes available as we have buses that come available. But there's other opportunities out there for grant funding for electric buses, and those are things that I have not taken advantage of.
I'd be happy to help.
Can you, tell us about the most recent one
Okay, the most
that
recent.
you worked on and
Okay, the most recent grant that I worked on and went from point A to point C.
Mhm.
Was working when I was the executive director for the Lake Michigan Shoreline Trail.
Okay.
And we applied for a grant for $88,000 for marketing and business expansion. And we were granted all $88,000. And that covered, and that was during COVID.
Wow.
And it covered a year and a half. So we were constantly having to present reports, look at our budgets, making sure that we stay on budget, also making sure, and I'm sure Phyllis knows this as well, that when you submit your grant, you have to itemize what you're going to do with that money. And you have to make sure that those items are part of that grant and that you're not, running on a tangent, which it can happen. That can happen, but you have to bring it back or justify it. And I think I had a great relationship with the state of Michigan and MDARD. That was the most recent.
And I've done it in a former life, and no, I will not do it again. But then would you have the time to do reporting stuff? Because that's a whole
Yes, it
other
is.
side to it.
Yes.
Okay,
I would be able to help.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's the board and then there's also operations.
right, it's
And I
completely
don't
different,
want to
correct.
overstep my.
Right. Thank you.
Do you have a question, John?
I have a comment. No, I just want to say how nice it is to see you here stepping out publicly.
It's been a long time.
We all know what a great behind the scenes operator you can be and have been. And I think that's great. I want to thank you for going for this and spending this time with
We're
us.
gonna feel like this is kind of behind the scenes.
Yes and no.
And that's for sure.
I want to embarrass you for a second because I think you and me and Elliot are probably the only people in the room that might remember this, but this is also part of complimenting you. Kathy and I were on the board together. She was chair and I was vice chair for 2 or 3 years, a while back, of what was then called the Saugatuck Douglas Historical Society. It's the
okay.
History Center now. So I worked very closely with her. I've worn leprechaun costumes with her at the St. Patrick's Day party. So again, fond memories, but I can attest to her strengths and leadership. Again, I'm happy to see you apply for something.
Every question. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment at this time. I think this is one of those times where we have a very difficult decision to make. And that's not, part of that's good. We have 2 really strong applicants. Part of it not great because we want to choose both of them. I reached out to my former deputy clerk, Babinski, and she did comment that Schneider does offer, and she spoke to it, that invaluable experience of riding almost daily. She's so plugged into connect with the ins and outs of how it's working, and she just has that perspective of a rider that depends on it, you know, and it's a different perspective that nobody else on the board has, and she just really highlighted that to me. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Any other comments or discussion before we take some action on this? Go ahead.
I have one as a new person here, but I think, Judith, it's very commendable that you've worked 2 terms on this board, 8 years. Congratulations. And Kathy, thank you for applying. And as you stated, grants are difficult, and writing them is so difficult, but then being accountable to them is really a full-time job. So I appreciate that expertise. And I would just like to say to both of you, whoever has this position in the future, please stay with the township, whoever doesn't, and do something else, because there's a lot of ways to work in our township, and we really would like to have both of you. So thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
I just, I was gonna say pretty much what Becky said. I am torn between someone with your experience and the fact that you do ride it every day. Between that and then, you know, it's really good to have you've had 8 years of experience. On the other side, sometimes change is good. And I can embrace new ideas and then there's the grant abilities, and I know what that's like. So I have to say at this moment, I'm torn.
May I make a comment?
Sure, a brief one, because we do have a full agenda, but yes, please.
As I mentioned in my presentation, we have 3 incredibly good business owners and Lori Lubinsky on the board already. As to grant writing, I can attest to the fact that we have virtually a brand new fleet of buses because Phyllis does know how to write a grant. And so it is not like we don't have, you know, professional people. And I still ride the bus.
Thanks. Great. Who will be the brave one to make a motion? Do we have anyone? This really demonstrates to you ladies how difficult this is. This is not a welcome decision. I move to approve the appointment of Judith Schneider as township representative to the Interurban Transit Authority Board for a 4-year term to expire September 30, 2026. Thank you. Take your time. This is tough. Hearing none.
I'll support.
Okay, John will support. Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and we have support. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries 4-1. That's very hard. Kathy, please come back and apply for something else.
There's always things to apply.
Yeah. Always need it for talent. they're having, a meeting, so we can move on.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you. Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Next, under 3B of new business is zoning board of appeals. Appointment, we have
One vacancy.
one vacancy. And we have two applicants, Chris Cowling and Lisa Smith. Do we have either of those individuals here today?
So,
Chris is on Zoom.
yeah, we
Oh,
have,
okay.
yeah, we
I
do
never
have Chris
thought
on
of
Zoom here, and, yeah, Lisa Smith is, trustee Eldridge said is
Yeah.
unable to.
I never
attend.
even thought of Zoom for her.
Yeah.
I would have suggested that, but I
That's right.
totally blank.
I will note that this is for the position of an alternate.
Okay.
That vacancy came about because Harry Adams was able to move from alternate to a full member of the ZBA, which was fantastic. So the term actually expires June 30th, 2023, and then we can renew or find somebody else. But I will point out that Chris Cowling has been pretty active in expressing an interest to be involved in the township business, and he has a particular interest in planning and zoning. So he is present if the board would like to ask him any questions.
Chris, could you please tell us about your interest in this position and maybe a little background information on your experience, and then we may have some questions for you?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, I will go back a ways. I've lived here for about 5 years now, full-time, going on 6. And I just would like to be more involved with the community. I think planning is especially important given sort of the growth of Saugatuck and how things are currently changing in very quick pace. In my past, when I was living in Ann Arbor, I was on the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority, appointed by the mayor of Ann Arbor. I also served on the Historical Council, Fourth Ward Society, which is an area of Ann Arbor that's the most historic of all of them. And then upon moving to Chicago for 25 years, I was appointed by Mayor Daley to be on the HIV Advisory Council, which distributed over just under $10 million of funds every year. So there was quite a bit of money involved with that. And I did that for several years. And then I opened a business in Chicago, was also very much involved in fundraising and distributing monies from other groups and trying to help, as many people as possible in fundraising. And then upon moving out here, I've just found myself wanting to be more involved in my community. So that's basically what brought me here.
Thank you. Any trustees have any questions of Mr. Cowling?
I have a comment, maybe a question will emerge. I just want to remind everyone and also say to Chris, I was hoping we'd be able to meet you in person tonight. We did see you on Zoom during COVID. I believe you were applying for a planning commission opening. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you've come back to try for something else.
Yeah,
It often takes more than one attempt, and hopefully we'll meet you in person Monday.
you
And I'm
will.
glad you clarified, because I was going to ask you, because it just says appointment to City of Chicago and Ann Arbor boards. I wanted more detail on which they were specifically, and I believe you just did that, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, DDA for Ann Arbor had to approve anything that it was the DDA Downtown Development Authority. So any new business or any new development that happened within the city of Ann Arbor had to go through our board to be cleared. And then it would go on to the city council and the mayor for final approval. So we were essentially the citizens' first line of defense in terms of saying, this is not right for our community. And it was upon us to go out and say, well, why is it not right? Or why may it be right to have this particular, whatever it may be, a parking structure, a new store or whatever, and kind of get the feel of what the neighborhood and the people are thinking. Beyond that, going above it, would be the city council kind of chiming in with more of the financials and maybe more of sort of studies, if you will. So it was more incumbent upon us to just feel what the neighborhood was going through and what they, because there are obviously many neighborhoods within Ann Arbor. So that was the basic kind of feel of it. We had open, just as you guys do. We had many open evenings where people would come in and speak and sort of speak to their own agenda, whether it be positive or negative toward any kind of development. Now, when it comes to going to Chicago, my work on the board there was very, very different. I mean, we had RFPs coming in constantly because everybody wanted a slice of that money. And it was very important to go out and look at some of these organizations as to see how effectively and how prudently they were using the money. And when you talk about millions and millions of dollars, that makes a big difference, because we didn't want to come back on us as though we were not effectively using those funds or distributing those funds. And within Chicago, as you obviously know, it's a very large city. So there was disparity between people writing RFPs on the south side versus them writing on the north side. And, you know, trying to say, well, just because you write a good RFP doesn't mean you're not more deserving of the money, depending on where you are. So there was a lot of sort of background information that needed to be obtained from that as well. And then after that placement or appointment ended, as I said, I continued doing work there for the Human Rights Campaign, not Human Rights Campaign, I'm sorry, Equality Illinois, and many other organizations, because I just enjoyed doing that kind of work as something aside from just working during the day.
So are you working now?
I am working now, yes. I do remote accounting, forensic accounting, and regular accounting. It's exhausting. It's awful.
I'll remember this.
Yeah.
How long were you on the DDA in Ann Arbor?
DDA was 4 years. Yeah, four-year appointment. I stayed there much longer. After graduating, I stayed in Ann Arbor for a long time. I really loved it. And then I realized that I needed to get to a bigger city. So I went to New York and Chicago to decide where to go. But I mean, I was born in Ann Arbor, so I kind of just thought I should stay there. I really loved it, but I needed to get out. So I left.
And you ended up here, so I guess you got tired of big cities.
After 25 years in Chicago to the month, yeah, Chicago changed a lot. It's still a lovely city. It's an amazing city. But it's not the same. When I moved there in '92, it's not the same city as it was then. And I go back on a very regular basis for business and for pleasure, but it's just not where I want to live right now.
So
I'm sorry.
Can you tell us can you briefly answer this question? I'm curious, at the DDA in Ann Arbor,
yeah,
if a project stands out to you that perhaps the DDA turned down or did not recommend up to the city council.
Oh yeah, one in particular. There was a parking structure that it was difficult because the architecture of the parking structure was really horrific, and it was going to be on a main road going into the city. And even though Ann Arbor desperately needed parking, it was kind of like, okay, we need the parking, but there are houses all around there, and there's pedestrians all around there. And to put up something so remedial in terms of design just didn't make sense. I mean, at least just put a facade on it, make it disappear, do something. We want the parking, but the developer didn't want to spend the money on that. He thought, well, let's just get the parking up and we'll put up this, just kind of mortar thing. And it was a rather contentious thing because he had already purchased the property and was ready to go. But at the same time, the residents just didn't want that eyesore, if you will, to look at every day when they were walking, whether it be to work or to shop or to eat or what have you. So he eventually came back. I think it was about a year later with a redesign that was acceptable, but it was just like, no, we're not allowing that to go up. It's just hideous. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That's very helpful. Just quick comments from, I've reviewed the, applications and the cover letters, and Chris has such experience in leadership, creativity, just such a wide range of experience. Lisa has the planning commission experience, and also she's covered for meetings for the commercial records. So I think that really helps her to understand the local, politics and how things are run. So 2 very strong applicants again. Any other comments?
Can I ask a question? Is there training for this position? Is there a special training?
I think there's Michigan Association of Planning Trainings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we offer that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, we encourage it. It's not mandatory like it is for board or review.
Yeah.
But every year we
Yeah.
hope some. All
For-
the planning commission, ZBA.
Right,
Take
okay.
part.
Would you be available for training, Chris?
Oh, of course, yes.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
And also it's an alternate position.
Oh, that's right, it's all.
And so, if we look at how many times the ZBA has met in the
Yeah.
last year,
That was my next, you did meet, okay,
Which is
yeah.
they haven't met.
speaks to, yeah.
But, that doesn't mean they won't. And
Right.
No, I know.
Things change.
There are potential,
Right,
so it's good to have someone, plus it's a segue into planning and zoning,
Yes.
too,
Right.
I believe eventually.
right,
And my only other comment was, I believe some of us have met Lisa Smith,
Yes.
even though she's not here
Yes.
this evening. Because she's on the board of
Right, we
review.
appointed, wasn't that just last month?
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
We did appoint her to the board.
Yes.
So
Right.
you-
So I have worked with her briefly, 25 minutes at the board of
It
review.
was a quickie.
Yeah, she's a lot later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Certainly.
I move to approve the appointment of Chris Colling as alternate to the zoning board of appeals for a term to expire on June 30th, 2023.
I'll support.
Okay, I have a motion and support. Is there any further discussion?
No, Chris, I really appreciate all of your community service. You have a wealth of experience that you come with, and this might be leading to some big things, I hope, with us.
I hope so. Thank you.
Future relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, this is a roll call vote. So Aldrich,
Yes.
Humrick,
Yes.
Bigford, yes, Israels,
Yes.
Marcy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you again.
Thank you
I'm
for
very
your
happy.
willingness to serve.
It's a great community. I think it'll be a wonderful endeavor.
And at some point, you'll have to
Exactly.
come into the office to be sworn in,
Yes.
All right, very good.
even as an alternate.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to item number 4 under new business, building official, assistant zoning administrator employment agreement. Let me get to that. Daniel, can you please review this memo?
Absolutely. So we did get word from our building official that he was not able to renew his contract, which expired at the beginning of August. He's moved on to new things in his life. He enjoyed his time at the township. But that kind of left a need for us in terms of someone who could act as our building official. And I think for a long time, we recognized that we had a lot of needs for residential zoning. We've also talked a lot about enforcement and the fact that that falls on either myself or our zoning administrator, and that stretches us quite thin. And so in the July meeting, the board did approve the creation of a new position at the township for building official / assisting zoning administrator, which position would cover those areas. We did publish it on our website, on the MTA website, on MML, on Indeed. The salary range was between $55,000 and $65,000 with benefits. We received a total of 7 applicants. One clearly stood out not only for her incredible experience and also outstanding references. People could not speak more highly of this individual. And I think that it would be an incredible asset to have her. And this individual is Cindy Osmond. I did have Ron Bolchi review a possible employment agreement that came somewhat late, but it was emailed to everybody and you do a physical copy to review. And we settled on a salary of $64,000, which is within the salary range that was approved at the July meeting with benefits. So if you have any questions about the employment agreement, I can answer those, but the motion is to approve the building official / zoning assistant zoning administrator employee agreement for Miss Cindy Osmond.
Thank you, Daniel. I know early on in this process, I had spoken to you and the other applicants didn't have the certifications, didn't have, the training that was necessary. Was that true of all 7, or how did you come to not interview or pursue any of those applicants?
That was true of all 7, especially you probably can forgive it for the zoning aspect of it, but definitely not for the building official. And our building department is quite active. I haven't been here very long, but I would say it's probably based on looking at prior budget years. It is the most active it's ever been. People do enjoy to come in and actually have that service in-house. There's always the option of contracting that out, but that also comes with the fact that we would only be able to retain about 15% of the revenue source. So having a building official in-house would allow us to continue to have that service, have control over that service. And I think that that's what the people like, and I think it gives us more control, and it also gives us the opportunity to serve those needs that we continue to have with residential zoning and with enforcement. So it expands the services that we're actually able to provide to public.
I'd like to point out that we've been talking for probably at least 2 years about the need for enforcement. This is not a new concept that we wanted more coverage in this area. We've also been talking for probably about the same time frame about more support for our zoning administrator. I think this is just a win-win, covers a lot of bases with one position and things that we've said we really wish we could do that, but we just don't have a solution right now. So I just wanted to point that out. Are there any other comments?
Well, I just want to underscore what you said. Here on the enforcement, it's been like 3 years. We've tried to do more. We've taken baby steps, but not enough. It's just stuff coming at us all the time. And Daniel already pointed this out, and I tend to mention it almost every month in my treasurer's report. We don't want to go to the BTS model. MTS. We've used it in emergencies when someone's ill. And again, as you said, we keep 15% of the income, and it continues. All these permitting lines, all the time I've been here, are always end the year ahead of budget. So you don't want to lose that revenue source. And it's not just about revenue, it's the relationships, because I can clearly attest, especially since we trained taxpayers during COVID not to come in so much, building is the #1 traffic need in the office. And it's such a vital to have the personal interaction is so important to what we're striving to do.
Right. I'd entertain a motion at this point. There's no further comment or discussion.
I'll move to approve the building official assistant zoning administrator employment agreement for Cindy Aspen.
I'll support. We have a motion and support. Is there further discussion? This is a voice vote, so all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Welcome to the office. All right. The next item is item number 5 under new business. Oh, no, sorry. Yes, 5. Parks Millage Resolution number 2022-14. I'd just like to make comment before Daniel talks a little bit further about this. The Parks Commission is just such a dynamic group of individuals right now with such great energy and wealth of experience. A possible millage is a significant move for them and just marks their commitment to furthering parks and trails and conservation. So I think this is an exciting subject for us to be talking about. Daniel, would you like to say more about that?
Absolutely. So I have been working with Parks over the last few months to craft this. So at their August 3rd meeting, the Parks Commission did move to recommend to the township board consideration of adopting a parks and trails resolution. Some work went into picking the title, but that's what the Parks Commission ultimately decided was best and accurately described what the millage was about, and that matched the public's expectations for that millage. The proposal is for a millage rate of 0.5 mils for a duration of 10 years, generating approximately $195,352 in the first year. And that would cover operating and maintaining parks, creating and maintaining public trails, acquiring, preserving, improving, and conserving natural areas and park property and property rights. And we can go back and forth with the attorney, and Parks is confident, and I feel confident that that language would allow Parks to do the kinds of activities that they're looking to do. And I'm trying to think of anything else. So just to reiterate that Parks currently does not have an independent revenue source. They depend upon the board to give them money or to designate funds for them out of the general fund or out of the operating budget. And that varies from year to year. We cannot guarantee the amount of money that we can set aside for them in the next fiscal year. And that kind of creates an uncertain and a little bit of a precarious position for them to be in. And they are somewhat unable to engage in larger projects. So right now, I don't think they have anything left. Actually, we had set aside $50,000 for their park project fund. So that's something that accrues in a restricted fund. But before that designation for this year, they had no money in that fund. So they don't have any savings, and they are dependent on money that we give them. So this would be a really kind of big development for them. I think I don't know if I'm quoting it exactly, but I think Parks Commissioner Dana Bird said that this would be a historical moment for the township and transformative for the community to be able to raise approximately $200,000 a year. And keep in mind, a lot of that money, we'd be looking to leverage it with grants. And having spoke with consultants in that field, on average, they see when you're using consultants and you're actively looking for grants, typically for every dollar that you raise through the millage, you're able to leverage an additional $5. So it is substantial.
Can you, I know we've talked about this, but for our viewers and for the public,
Yeah.
can you talk about the financial impact, like how much this millage would affect like $100,000 taxable value? Can you kind of explain that to me?
Yeah, so for every $100,000 of taxable value, it would be essentially $50 on your tax bill.
And taxable value is not the same as
Assessed
actual,
value.
right?
No, it's not.
So
It is not the
it's
same
much
as your
lower.
property value.
Hard to say these days because prices have gone sky high. Traditionally, it's half the retail value. It's probably less now, depending on what house is selling, but
I have a question. It's my understanding that parks should have their own financial funds and the laws support that for parks. So currently, I'm wondering, the money that's allocated to parks isn't brought over year to year, but now when they have their own fund, that money will roll with them year after year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that's a good thing for them. And I also kind of feel like you're working with them to help them, and I think they need that assistance. Will somebody be working with them to help manage the budgetary end, or does Lori do that?
I think that this first year, I
Oh,
would.
they have a treasurer.
They do have a treasurer,
They have
yeah.
a treasurer.
I anticipate working with them closely through this process.
Okay,
But we have had discussions about the possibility of being able to hire a staff member for them, not a full-time staff member, it would probably be a consultant.
right, and their legal explanations do allow for that too, I read, so that's interesting, okay.
Just a reminder, all we're doing tonight is saying that we want to bring it to the voters.
That is correct, and the township is unable to endorse it.
Correct.
So we can't speak in favor or we cannot speak against, and that would essentially the endorsement part would be taken up by a community campaign committee if that committee were to be formed.
And should we vote to put this on the ballot in November, it would be the first new millage that we voted for. To take to the people.
Correct.
But it's
Right. Anything else on this?
I have one small thing, and Daniel knows this, and he ran it by Council Fulci today as well. Just by chance this morning, I was on a webinar with the Michigan Townships Association, all about millages and the L4 U29, which is the form to send our millage rates to the county Board of Equalization. And they strongly urged, and we can make this change, I believe, in both the motion and then in the paragraph, first page of the Parks and Trails millage proposition, the language that we would eventually use, we should insert the words up to in front of 0.5 mil. They just make sure you always do that. It's just a safety gap, so it can't be, whether it's through the Headley rollback or something else, it can't be lowered in the future. So I'm willing and ready to make a motion.
Okay.
That's okay. I move to adopt resolution 2022-14, Parks and Trails, a resolution to place a proposal on the ballot for the November 8th, 2022 election to approve a millage request to levy up to 0.5 mils for a period of 10 years to raise funds for operating and maintaining parks, creating and maintaining public trails, and acquiring, preserving, improving, and conserving natural areas and park property and property rights.
I have a motion. Is there support?
I support.
We have motion and support. Any further discussion? No. And this is a roll call. Bigford, yes. Helmrich,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Israels,
Yeah.
Marcy,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0. Okay. Exciting. The next item under new business, number 6, North and Elizabeth Street Water Service Line Replacement. This to me is a very logical move regarding line replacement and comes recommended from our engineer. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this?
I think it highlights, so this was discovered, during the permitting process. So I think it highlights the importance of having a strong building department and residential zoning. And it also is highlighted to us that something that needs to be a part of our review for land division is utility review, is that might have revealed this prior to the land division. I will point out that none of the homeowners involved in this case presently were part of the land division. It's all new owners. They were completely unaware that this was going to happen. An alternative is somewhat complicated, which would be to secure an easement through one property for the other, which would be very difficult and long. And our engineer is pointing out that this is a lead service line that the township is responsible for replacing, and that this move would be in the best interest of, I think, the township, but also for the homeowners in resolving this challenge that they are experiencing. And it also is somewhat of a win for us in that the state of Michigan is requiring that we replace all lead service lines within 19 years. And we can report to Eagle that we have started this process.
Absolutely. Any questions or comments?
Do you know how many lead pipes we might have in the township, or any idea, or?
We have a general idea of where they are located. So most of them are located in the areas of the township that border the city of Saugatuck, because that's the older water infrastructure. We don't have an exact number. We will have to do an inventory, which will tell us the exact number. And Cow Lake has actually indicated that they would be able to help out with that. So we're gonna be working closely with Cow Lake as, you know, as they're doing their, you know, routine maintenance and operating the system. They'll be able to check on some of those lines, and that actually will save us quite a bit of money, you know, as opposed to doing a totally independent inventory. It may take a little longer, but we do have, you know, some time to work with. And having spoke with Dana, our approach so far has been to be somewhat on top of it and somewhat aggressive. So I think that we do have the time, and we really definitely appreciate Cow Lake's support and cooperation in this. So we will have a number. It may be a year or two, but we will have an inventory at some point.
Anything else?
I have one question. If community members are concerned about whether they have lead in their pipes or not, is there an opportunity for them to get their water tested?
I believe so.
The health department, I don't know if they have to pay for it. That's a good question. I know, like, when we had our foster care license, we have to get our water tested, like,
But you were
aggressively.
looking for a license too. It's a little different when you're licensing, but if you just live in a community, like we
Right.
had spots in Hahn, we could take our water to be tested. I don't know if they were testing necessarily for lead, but I
Yeah,
think that's an interesting question to ask, if Cal Lake does offer that.
they do regular, I mean, they do
They'll
test
do
the water regularly. We actually got, you know,
Right.
something in not that long ago, and we do publish it on the website. And it does tell you, you know, the test results. Most of the,
That's
when we,
collective
yeah,
We have testing kits here that people sometimes come in to
For
get.
lead,
Huh?
for lead.
Again, like you said, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
also for lead or, you know, but it has to be sent to certain authorized testing sites.
Sure, I'm just
Yeah.
kind of.
I have a meeting with Daryl next week. I'll ask him about that.
That would be nice to know.
yeah. And I should add this, that when we're talking about the lead service lines, we're not really having any like full-on lead pipes. It's more of like the gooseneck connectors that are the lead. So the pipes themselves aren't lead, it's not a completely lead system. It's just a component of the system that is lead.
And as you said about being adjacent to the cities where the pipes would be if they're even there, this property is one of the ones I said to him the other day. I would never have guessed that property was in the township. It's at North and Elizabeth. It's the other side of, you know, because usually it's Maple Street's the border,
Yeah.
we're told. There's exceptions.
Is it the old pool, right? The old pool property?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you drive by this vacant lot and you know, it's across from Kathy Brockman's house.
Yeah.
But it's ours.
I wasn't thinking that was ours.
It's just, we have these anomalies when we're looking, you know,
Okay.
where certain parcels are actually located.
Thank
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I move to approve a full water service line replacement at 3407 Elizabeth Street.
Motion.
I support that.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? None. This is a roll call. Marcy,
Yes.
Humrick,
Yes.
Bigford, yes. Aldrich.
Yes.
Israel,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0. Next item is number 7 under new business, proposed settlement for Saugatuck Township versus Worker. This has been an ongoing enforcement issue, and I would just like to commend township staff regarding securing this favorable resolution. It's really good news. So tell us more about that, Daniel.
First, I would like to thank Attorney Curcio, who's been really incredible through this process. This is something that actually Planning Commission made a decision on this last February, not this past one, but last February. And then when it came in, we were continuing to get complaints that this individual was operating an illegal trucking business. And, you know, Attorney Curcio, zoning administrator Wells and I all got together and kind of came up with a game plan. And I really do think this is kind of really a excellent result where, you know, we did pursue a legal route, but the individual did come around to settle. And I think that we really got a lot of what we were looking to achieve in terms of some relief for the neighbors. But the individual is able to, you know, still utilize their property. And so everyone is happy. We still do have, if they are not following the requirements of the settlement, we still have the ability to fine them $500 a day. So I feel confident in moving forward with this settlement. We're not totally without any kind of ability to remedy another situation.
Do you have any questions or comments regarding this settlement?
You might have answered this the other day, but just remind me what court and judge issued this.
It is the circuit court. I don't know the judge. There we go.
I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
It's Judge Kingus in the
Okay.
circuit court.
I'm just curious.
So it hasn't been issued yet. This would be an agreement that we would enter into. And it would basically give the court kind of ongoing supervision over the case, which is the advantage of this, as opposed to just, you know, try to bring a citation each time that they violate this. You know, if they were to start accumulating trucks on the property, the city could go and ask for a contempt order from the court and could document each day the truck was there. Pursuant to this, the truck could issue a fine of up to $500 for that. That could kind of be bundled together in a single proceeding. So that's a really big advantage to the township in terms of future enforcement of this. As Daniel said, this is mutually agreed to by the parties. It enables them to continue using the building that they built for this purpose to do the oil changes. It also provides screening for the neighbors. And the big thing is no trucks or trailers outside of that building at any time. So that's the major term of the settlement.
I move to approve is that okay? The proposed consent judgment in Saugatuck Township versus Parker.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support. Any other discussion?
I have one thing, I need to ask this, but I speak in support of the motion. But one of the issues with this was the running of the refrigeration in the trucks all night. And I don't see that addressed in here, and it was a noise concern for those neighbors. And so I didn't know.
That's not specifically addressed here. My understanding is that that can't be done within an enclosed building. So my understanding is that was being done.
Okay, so the truck will be in the enclosed.
Yes,
Okay.
it has to be stored in the building at all times.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Thanks.
Could cause some
Yeah,
problems, I
good
guess. To put it euphemistic.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question.
Oh, that was a long planning commission.
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Bigford, yes. Marcy?
Yes.
Helmrich?
Yes.
Israel?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Great. Next item, under new business. Item 8, manager 6-month review. Go ahead, Daniel, this is about you, so
If you
take
can
it
believe,
away.
if you can believe it or not, I've been here 6 months.
I know.
Thank you, everyone. So it's a simple request. It is a request to appoint a small committee to conduct a performance evaluation. In conjunction with that performance evaluation, I would provide a document laying out the goals that I've accomplished up to the 6-month point. And then part of that evaluation would also be identifying goals for the next 6 months that I would attempt to meet. So it'd be a tool to, help me better serve you.
Did you
I
have-
do, I received I think the whole board did, but I talked to Chris Mantles about just a glowing review of Daniel's performance so far, and Chief Janik echoes that, and so I feel that you're doing a great job, and I'm glad you wanna even improve, so thank you for wanting this.
Yeah,
How do we appoint the people?
yeah, I don't know. if
Have
that
we
can
done,
be
I can't remember how we've done people
I
volunteer,
mean, I have a few ideas, I don't know if anybody else does, but.
but it can only be two.
Right, oh, yeah, so it is part of the motion, sorry. I did not
No,
see,
yeah, it's here. We just need to fill in the guides.
Does anybody have interest in being part of this committee? It can only be 2 trustees.
Right, I was hoping, right away, I thought of Becky, just because she's worked so closely with Daniel, I think she'd be a logical choice to be on that committee. I thought you work with Daniel, I don't spend as much time, so I feel that someone that's here would be better suited to this committee, so. But I think Becky is a logical choice if she's willing to do it.
I was thinking she's so new, but.
Well, she's been on a planning
I know,
commission and,
but this
yeah.
is different. Well, then. How
Well,
about,
I'm a
let me make,
strong proponent for 60-day, 6-month and 1-year review.
Okay.
I believe that you would have, like Daniel, as he said, he's presenting the goals he has accomplished, but I think the biggest part is addressing what his goals will be in the future. So I think it's really important to have somebody who's been on the board for a while to understand what the future goals would be too, because we want to make sure those are compatible. And I think it's really good to address what he has accomplished. So I'd be honored to be part of that, and I've done hundreds of reviews, and so I think that that would be a good process. I think that kind of process needs to be very positive and give someone the inspiration to do more.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead. I have a question.
let me throw this out.
Pardon me?
Let me just throw this thought out.
Go
Then
ahead.
you can answer
Yeah.
your question. No, I'd like to volunteer to serve with Becky. I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to forge our new relationship together. Like Becky, I have years of 360-degree review processes in the corporate world. It's a lot of work, but I'm willing to do it. And also, as just as an aside of the board members, I'm with Daniel every day.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
I might have some different or unique input. That's my suggestion.
When do we review our current strategic goals?
Us, the board,
Yes,
February.
okay,
he's already working on it.
right. Okay, so that's too far. And the workshop? What will that more or less, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
put it with whatever we work we do.
But the workshop's next week, so it's probably.
Right.
Yeah, so for the workshop, what I haven't, formalized everything or, in my mind, what I would like to do is I would like to do a brief review of the hiring process thus far for the administrative support position
Mhm.
and kind of get some insight on, if we're gonna do a hiring process again, what is that, kind of gonna look like and, a set list of questions that we're gonna be asking. I'd also like to do a review of the personnel policy, because I think there are things that have come up that, might require a deeper dive and just to kind of all of us to familiarize ourselves with the personnel policy. And I've also tried to independently engage in some leadership development. I recently read a book called Leadership and Self-Deception, which I thought was great. I've taught professional ethics before, business ethics, and I found it very helpful. It's definitely something that I would use in the classroom with students. I think it's something that's accessible. It's not overly preachy, but it gets you to kind of reflect on yourself. It gets you to reflect on how you affect other people in your space and your relationship and how that ultimately affects the results that you're getting. And I think it's a good exercise for us to kind of do something together. And it's also a book that I would love feedback on, because I would like to introduce it to staff too, as something that we can do together, and we can talk about. So that's kind of how I'm imagining the workshop to go. Those are the items that I would like to address.
So I just want to throw out there, I would be interested as well. And even though I'm not in the office, we meet with Daniel on a regular basis and talk pretty much every day. So.
Yeah, what I don't have to be on it, and
No,
I
I
think
know.
what you're saying is very important. It's not necessarily that somebody is with them all the
Yeah.
time. It's the people who need to work with him and see what he's saying.
Well, it's good to have the balance.
Yeah.
And timing wise, I don't think there's a rush, because I think the process he's going through right now with the hiring. Let's get that complete, because that's an important part for whoever's on the committee to analyze, factor in.
May have your hands full with elections. Of course, you have such
Oh,
yeah.
capacity.
I
Well-
support 6 months, so I think for his benefit, that's important.
I do like your expertise. We love expertise. Oh,
Let's go.
I'm
Should we
really-
call the police?
They're watching.
that's
They're
who they
watching
are.
them too.
Oh, yeah, no, they're not that. It's not that
Well, you
exciting.
guys decide, I'm more than happy to do it. I'll let you decide.
Stacy, would you like to make one?
Not anymore. I get it. Everybody be great on it. I don't. Well, do straws. I don't want to be on it. There you go.
All right, well, I guess.
I don't. I really,
I didn't mean to put the heat on you.
yeah.
I didn't mean to put the heat on you. I was
Yeah.
kind of joking.
Okay. you
But
got it.
I'll.
Yeah.
Yeah, and think about how many committees we're serving on. Too, I think, is another factor.
How so? I don't.
If,
Oh, you mean-
I mean,
Whoever the two.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have many that I'm working on. I'm doing roads that. That's all.
Yeah, that's true. You got more time.
Well, yes, I do. After September 1st.
I will make a motion.
Okay.
To appoint Marcy and Helmrich to conduct a 6-month performance evaluation of the township manager.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And I read that book too.
Good book.
I know you haven't had it.
You still have it?
Yeah.
Can I borrow?
I only read on Kindle.
Oh,
Otherwise, yes, you could.
Now I can buy it.
Because of
for-
my eyes.
We can purchase it for all the commission, I mean, for all the board.
let's buy one for
Maybe
the
the
office
library.
and pass it around.
I
So-
didn't have it. Not ours, local system.
I would make one recommendation if you're going to do that, is I would include the people in the office in reading that
Oh,
too
yeah.
right away.
Mhm.
And not have the board read it first and then they read it. I think they should be involved in what you're doing in that respect. It's a simple book.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, this brings us to, oh, we added a.
Right, the item.
Yes,
Number 9, yeah, Allegan County Road
yeah, I don't have the
workshop,
memo in
work
front of me.
order. I
No,
know.
let's
You have
have
it?
it right in here. Thank you. Yes. The township work order for construction or special maintenance on public roads. This was a late addition. Can you give us the information on this, Daniel?
Yeah, so this just came in today. I wanted to address it because we wouldn't be able to address it until September otherwise. But it's pretty straightforward. Allegan Road Commission submitted a work order for our review and authorization for crack, chip, and fog road projects for 2023. I sent over those projects to the Allegan County Road Commission. They reviewed them. They've provided the document that is attached listing all of those projects. I reviewed them. They match our road plan that you approved. And so they are just asking for your authorization to move forward with that work order.
Do we know the cost total on these portions? And I know it's all in the budget.
It's all in the budget. I don't know offhand for just these
Okay,
specific
I mean, I know I
projects.
could look it up. So. Well, they've been doing this near my house already, the last 2 days. And that's not even on the, I guess that was
That's
on.
2022.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. They're out there they're somewhere all the time.
Yes.
I'll move to authorize the road work identified in the township work order for construction or special maintenance on public roads. From the Allegheny County Road Commission for construction year 2023.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. This brings us to the portion of the meeting where we will move to closed session, given that somebody makes a motion to do so.
I motion to assemble in closed session.
Cindy, you might have to read the
It's
whole
the
thing.
whole
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a
I moved
big
in the
one.
board of
Okay.
trustees of Saugatuck Township assemble in closed session to consult with its retained township council and litigation counsel regarding trial appeal and settlement strategy in connection with the appeal of decisions reached by the Saugatuck Township Zoning Board of Appeals filed in Allegheny County Circuit Court after remand from the Michigan Supreme Court entitled Saugatuck Dunes Coastal Alliance versus Saugatuck Township Zoning Board of Appeals, and North Shores LLC Circuit Court Case Number 2017-58936 AA and 2018-059598 8A. AA Michigan Supreme Court Case Numbers 160358 and 160359. Since discussing the trial appeal and the trial, or do I say both?
Yeah.
Okay, trial appeal and or settlement strategy in open session would have a detrimental financial effect on the litigation appeal or settlement position of Saugatuck Township.
Fine.
Yikes.
Nice job.
I didn't write that
We have a motion.
I thought it was easy with that one sentence.
Yeah, no, I didn't even get it myself in there.
No sense, Clark.
Any further discussion?
Debbie, we have to go, and I imagine you folks are gonna be a while doing this.
Yeah,
May I say something?
public comment.
Public comment before, 2 minutes,
That's it.
Sure. 1 minute,
1 minute.
1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, fast, be an auctioneer.
Because we will be re-adjourning to finish the agenda.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna come back.
I'm still starting, I live in the township, I'm on the Parks Board Commission, and I just want to thank all of you for passing this request for a millage. I especially want to thank Diego, his help has been invaluable in getting this put together in the wording. Something that John Vanderbeek said really struck a chord with me, and that's this. I've probably been here longer than he's been alive. My first summer up here was 1970. And you can imagine the changes I've seen in 52 years. Some of them are good. One of the things that he mentioned is we've got a lot of land here. It's not protected. Anybody can buy it. Anybody can build on it, of course, according to the zoning commission. So it's up to the Parks Board to conserve this land as best we can and make sure that it doesn't turn into Kalamazoo. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I'm sure we all do Parks Board.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Christine.
Just-
So I don't know, I don't think I called. Wait, hold on, John, we have to call John. I didn't call.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Israel's,
Yes.
Marcy.
Yes.
Humrick,
Yes.
Bigford, yes, Aldrich.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. We
Be going into closed session.
Can I?
It's a nice night, so
It's a nice
they can
night.
talk outside.
Yep.
I think we have to lock the
Wait,
door.
is she,
I will lock
are you
the
coming
door.
back or?
And for those attending on Zoom, I am ending the Zoom meeting for the closed session and I will resume after the closed session is finished.
I get it. That was what I was gonna get.
Really good time.